Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Todd Clint's SharePoint Podcast number 336, recorded live Monday, May 1st, 2017. I am your host, Todd Clint, and today I'm bringing on a special guest in the special thing, Shane Young. Take it away, Shane.
Oh, and I'm the beautiful and good-looking Shane Young here with you. Very excited, right? It is May 1st. I don't know when the heck it became May, but we have the calendar's just rolling right by.
May so you and I were talking about this last week. May snuck up on us. Like I turned my back for a second. It was like Easter, and I'm eating some Easter candy. The next thing I know, May is knocking right at the door there. I don't know how that happened.
And that's the problem with this whole Easter can be any given weekend in like a 6-week period, right? We're all kind of concreted. We all marked Easter should be in the middle of that period. So there's an X amount of time between February and Easter, X amount of time between Easter and May. And in this cycle where it's all the way at the end, we just feel like we're cheated.
Yeah, and I'm trying to explain to my kids why Halloween is always the same time, but Thanksgiving's not, and Easter's not, and I'm getting into the moon phases and the ocean, and yeah, it's confusing for all of us. We all suffer a little bit with that. But
Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday in there in the middle, just to keep you honest.
That one is easy to remember because it's always the Monday by my birthday. So I think it was very considerate. So the only holiday in the United States, the only American citizen to have a holiday named after him, it's the Monday of my birthday. So I think all the other holidays are named after foreigners. That's the only one that's named after an American citizen. It's Monday after my birthday. So
yeah, well, once again, it speaks to our sense of anchor in the calendar, right? My birthday is Labor Day. Right?
Yeah.
I'm the September 3rd, I think.
Listen, I'm not. Oh, don't tell me. I know this one. Well, I
was trying to work through, right? I use so many fake birthdays now for those online form signups and stuff. I'm like, what is the actual day that when I was born?
Yeah, well, I always use your birthday, so that's how I can remember it. So I've got the trick where I put my anniversary in central admin. I give your birthday for fake birthdays. I've got all these tricks to remember these things.
It's complicated.
You were born the same year as my car. That's how I remember that.
Glad I'm in the anchor for your car.
Yep. Well, that's the funny thing. So this weekend we had birthday parties and family here, and the only way that my father-in-law can remember how old my son-in-law is, or my brother-in-law is, so the only way my father-in-law can remember how old his son is my father-in-law joined the fire department the year that my wife's brother was born, so he can never remember how old his son is, but he can always remember how many years he's been on the fire department. So that's...
See, I don't like to make fun of him for that, but it's the type of stuff that really worries me. I struggle with simple things like dates and things. So, my kids I mostly remember, but if you asked me with a gun to my head how old my wife was right now, I'd probably tell you to pull the trigger.
It was all. So I did things smart. I had my children were all born in years that SharePoint came out. 2007, 2010, 2013. I'll never forget those.
See, and I was not as smart. I was not in sync with the calendar.
Yeah, you didn't think that one through. That's why I'm the smart and good-looking one, and you're just the sidekick.
It's a rough life. But, hey, if you need to find me, you can always hit me on the old Twitter, right, at Shane's Cows. You can tell me how much better looking I am than Todd, especially if you're listening to the audio-only version of the podcast. It always helps.
Yeah. You are much better looking in the audio version of the podcast. I will agree with that.
Hey, I have a voice for still pictures and a face for radio. I don't know what else to tell you.
Barely. And for my info, you can email me, todd@toddclint.com. Hit me up on Twitter, @ToddClint, Instagram, @ToddClint, Snapchat, @ToddClint. I've still only accepted one friend on Snapchat, and it bit me, scarred me for life. But maybe you can be my lucky number 2 and turn that all around.
And speaking of that compromising picture, I had a very similar incident, and I almost sent you that as your second Snapchat picture because it would have just been a natural follow-on to the first one you got.
Oh, goodness gracious. Terrible stuff.
I looked down, and I was like, Todd would appreciate this.
No, he wouldn't. Whenever you look down and think Todd would appreciate this, you're always wrong. It's just... Oh, goodness.
So there's a lot of production notes here in the OneNote. I don't know if you want to expound upon all of those.
I'll see what I can do. If I run out of juice, you'll have to pick up the slack.
Got it.
So for the production notes, we didn't do a show last week because we were on the road. But the show before that, 335, I kind of spaced that one out a little bit, but it's out, it's up, it's RSS'd, it's blogged, it's tweeted, all that. So I think it's all good.
Very nice. Well, speaking of that, I have not put it on Petri.com. And I guess the thing I would ask is, Are any of you watching the show from there? Are you discovering the articles out there? Or am I completely wasting my time? I'm still going to waste my time either way, but definitely hit me up with a tweet or something if you're getting it through the Petri feed, just so it motivates me and get me to get out there a little faster if I felt like even one person was using it.
Yeah, and also, from what I understand, I don't read any of Shane's posts anywhere ever. It's just kind of a thing. But apparently he puts disparaging things about me in the Petri posts. So I think a great way for you to tell Shane that you listen to this from the Petri post is to tell him to stop saying bad things about me in them. I think that's the thing.
Every single one of them says something disparaging about Todd Clint. That is, it's in my contract. They're like, hey, you got to bash Todd. It's kind of like, so last week, Todd and I, we missed the show because we were teaching a private class for someone up in the great state of Ohio. Mm-hmm. And, in that contract, it was I had to call Todd whatever the guy who signed the statement of work said all week long. So he wielded some great power. I mean, I was contractually obligated to make fun of Todd. I don't know what to do.
The man was a tough negotiator, and anytime you do these private things, there's a lot of negotiating back and forth. How much, who picks up travel, how many days, all that kind of stuff. Yes, this was the first time that the contract included that the person who was signing the check would be able to dictate what Shane referred to me as all week. I'd never seen that before. That was a new one.
Bull Zebras is innovating all the time, right? There was several new things that week, or last week, not that week, last week. But, that was the one I was most proud of. I think that's the one that will change society going forward.
Yeah. Not enough to have the brown M&Ms taken out or anything like that. Yes, if you sign this contract, you can. Yes, that was very good. And he never took you up on it, though. You could tell there were a few times. I think he liked me more than he liked you, and I think that was why.
Now, I will stipulate there was a few people in that room that liked you more than me. There might have been a couple that had some serious, scary crushes on you.
There was, and you just get used to it. But yeah, so we had a class of 15 people, and it was from, the company was large, and they had a really big IT staff, and they did IT well. I was really impressed with a lot of things they did. But they have a dedicated patching team, and there was much squeeing when the patching team was there. We went around the room and had all the students introduce themselves, and they're like, I'm from the patching team, and I can't believe it's you. And then there was somebody else in the other side of the room that wasn't on the patching team. It was like, I hadn't made the connection, but I go to, it was, the ego was stroked quite well that first hour, so I will agree to that.
Yeah, that was the one downside of the week, because they were kind of a little too much Todd fanboy stuff going on for me. If I had understood that, I would have put in the contract, as my rider would have been no Todd appreciative comments made during the week.
Yeah, and when you were getting ready to take your shoe off and throw it at me, I think the crowd would have turned on you. I think they might have just, I wouldn't have to do a thing. I'd have just stepped back and.
I think the one person in the front row, they would have assumed that Secret Service position where they're about to just dive in front of you. No!
Yep.
There was going to be no violence towards Todd in that classroom.
Yeah, it was. I definitely had the home field advantage there. It was a good time. But the other thing that was interesting about that class is a few of the people that were in that class. I mean, the reason that the whole conversation started because they were familiar with us, and they had listened to the sessions that we'd done over the years at various conferences and blog posts and all that. And it was like this weird alternate universe where everything we said, people actually did. And it was interesting. So normally Shane and I get up in front of a classroom and we're like, well, when we do this, we recommend you do that. And then somebody in the audience argues and we have a discussion about why we're right. And then eventually they all come along and they realize how smart we are. The problem with this class was every time we would say, hey, we think you should do this, they all went, yeah, we do that. Yeah, that's exactly how we do it. So I felt like we had fewer nuggets of knowledge to drop because it was they were already doing the stuff that we think it should be done.
Yeah, it was especially the one that frustrated me the most was, we carved out a chunk of the day to talk about governance and information architecture. And it's one of those topics that just makes Todd shut down. So I don't have to contend with him for stage time when I talk about that topic. He just goes in the corner and watches cat videos or something like that.
Oh, so cute. So cute with the big ears. And I love them.
Oh, but so I got through my first, kind of ground, my foundational, let's set the stage portion of that. And the guy's like, yeah, we're already doing all that. We did it out of this paper. I'm like, yeah, I wrote that like 15 years ago. So I'm glad, but you know everything I know now because you read the paper I wrote. Yeah,
that was, yeah. So that was another one of those things where Shane's, because I've had to suffer through that governance talk so many times. Oh, it's horrible. So Shane does this thing and he whiteboards and he gets done. He's like, so I think we should do this. And usually the crowd's like, oh, that's horrible. We hate that. And then there's this big discussion and eventually he gets them to come around and they're like, yeah, that's exactly what we do. That's exactly how we, I'm like, well.
He even went a step further. Right? He's kind of like, why, we read that in a paper. Like, he was like, why are you telling us this? And I'm like, this is what I say. You put a quarter in, this is the speech that comes out.
But it was good. So a couple of good things came from that. Number one, we got to go into a little detail on how it worked well for them, what worked, what didn't work. So that was some good information there. The other thing is they're thinking about moving part of their stuff to Office 365, and we don't have some of those options in Office 365. And so that was a good leaping off point for this customer because they were doing things right on-prem and trying to figure out how to do that in Office 365. And so it worked out well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm really interested, right, to see where that ends. Because, like you said, today in an on-prem scenario, we have our P's and Q's. We know what it's supposed to look like. We know how to organize the data. We know how to this and that. But they're going to run a hybrid environment for, the forthcoming years. And we're talking about, over a terabyte of content. So we're not talking about one or two sites here, one or two sites there. We're talking about hundreds of gigs on-prem and hundreds of gigs in the cloud, and it all being wired up. And I didn't immediately have an answer for exactly how we would organize that, because one of the things we've always preached on-prem is here's all the tricks to making it easier for your users to consume, the bucket system. And I wasn't ready for a bucket conversation where I didn't actually have buckets to put things in. So that's a topic that's going to evolve, I think, over the next coming couple of years or so.
Yeah, and for those of you that haven't had to suffer through Shane's talk, do you want to give them kind of a 60-second elevator pitch on the bucket so they know what we're doing on-prem that we can't do online?
Is that just so you can tell me that, I already know that, it's in a white paper, why are you asking? Is that so you can relive that again?
Maybe.
No. So the bucket system, right, it's really easy. Todd's watching cat videos now because I'm talking about governance. It's pretty easy, right? But we tried to break them down into 3 buckets. Static, slow to change, your traditional intranet bucket. Your team or collaborative bucket where you just have sites or site collections that you share with different users that are, sit with you, right? So there might be one for the exchange team, one for the finance team, one for the HR team, but they kind of have some different buckets of very controlled access. And then the third bucket is the Wild Wild West, a projects type of web application where you might have cross collaboration between the whole company. You might have, dogs and cats living together in a different site collection. It gets kind of chaotic. But essentially, the way we did that in most cases, we broke them down to 3 different web applications. So Portal web app, Teams web app, and a project web app. But when you get to SharePoint Online, you only get 1 web application. So that kind of becomes a little more interesting. And then, so I'm like, well, maybe we can do some of this with managed paths. But then you start looking at that and you're like, well, I'm only trying to have a handful of those. So if I kind of break the buckets out there, and then if I'm also doing the hybrid-y stuff with maybe some of the Teams stuff has to stay on-prem, but some of the teams go out in the Teams site collection, and it just real quick unravels and it's going to get ugly.
Yeah, and the issue with the Office 365 bit is there are no managed paths to be had. Like you can't have multiple web apps. Well, you could, but that's multiple tenants, and then that gets expensive. So then the fallback would be multiple managed paths, but you can't even do that.
Yeah. So awkward, very, very awkward.
Yeah, so I don't know. So one of the things that they talked about is putting prefixes on their site collection names. That seems like a cruddy solution, but I don't know.
Yeah, because our thought there, right? That was my idea too. So if that becomes a thing, I made that up, by the way. No, but anyway, what we thought about was, maybe if you prefix all the IT ones. So it used to be an IT managed path. Now you got all your IT sites are IT_SP, IT_EX, that type of stuff. Which would make for an interesting crutch. The upside of that, though, is we get some metadata tagging out of that also, right? We know that search looks at the URL, and so when you did a search for IT, that would help all of those.
Give them a little boost.
Yeah, so it's a solvable problem, but it's going to take someone being brave and sitting down and doing it and then implementing it and then being like, man, this is terrible, and starting over a couple times to get it right. So
yeah, and some of that customer size might be able to get some valuable data out of that, whether that works or not. But that's
I mean, they've been like, hey, we got 10 site collections, right? We're gonna run hybrid, no problem. I got that licked.
Yep.
10,000 site collections. Turns out it's a little harder than you would want.
Yeah, and I was impressed. We sit down, we get a lot of pretty smart students and clients. This company was, I think, a little above that. They had a real dedication to IT. Like, a lot of places look at IT as a necessary evil, like a cost center. And I get the feeling this company very much respects IT and looks at them as a necessary enabler and, something that gets invested. And so that's good.
Yeah, kudos to them. They were a good group.
Yeah. So that was good. And of course, if you're looking for any kind of training, we're going to talk about it in promotion, but Shane and I do online training. You can find out about that at boldzebras.com/training. I think it's is the full URL. And we also do on-site stuff, obviously. So, yeah.
Hey, good old consulting. Who doesn't enjoy that with us?
Yeah, and not to, I don't know if it's legal in this country, but we've been known to bring donuts when we teach classes to kind of bribe, so.
Yeah, we brought 3 dozen donuts one day to class. We gave away a book another day. We were really just trying to buy their love. Let's just be honest.
Well, one of us had it. One of us had it in spades.
There was two of the more technical guys were bigger fans of mine than yours. Let's be clear.
I don't.
You had the patching team. You owned the patching team. I'll agree with that. But
I don't know. And then I don't know. I think if they'd had to choose, I think they'd all chosen me. I mean, it hurts. You're a decent fella. It's not your fault, and I feel bad when they love me so much more than you. But I felt it. And then all the pictures of Iowa. So with Windows 10, they've got those great spotlight photos that show up on your login screen. I've got a PowerShell script that goes and pulls those out and saves them up, and I've got them for wallpapers and things like that. And so I had that thing up, and so one of them was a picture of a glacier, and somebody's like, "That's not Iowa." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's northern Iowa. It gets really cold up there." And so at one point I opened that folder up and there's like 360 pictures in there. And there's pictures of like rainforests and ancient ruins. And somebody in the class is like, "I'm starting to think those all aren't pictures of Iowa." No, really, they all are.
Hey, it was in the Star Trek movie, right? There's a big cliff in Iowa you can drive off of. I mean,
yeah, right by Riverside, Iowa. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, what's next on our agenda here?
So this one came up. This is hot off the presses. This just got tweeted here a couple of minutes before we went online. I follow the Azure Active Directory team on Twitter, as all of you should. And they just tweeted a blog post from today, Azure AD and third-party apps. It's a bigger deal than you might think it is. So if you've got, again, everybody's going to the cloud. If you've got on-prem SharePoint now, at the very least, you're going to go hybrid, but chances are you're going to go full into the cloud. And when you do that, you have to have identity. You have to have your on-prem identities replicated or federated or passed through authentication or something set up to do that. And once you get your identities into Office 365, so that you can use them with SharePoint Online and all that, they're really actually in Azure AD. So you can, with a couple of clicks, it'll fill that interface out for you. And once they're in Azure AD, you can federate them to other applications. That's been around forever. So this blog post today talks about how companies are leveraging their Azure AD identities with other third-party apps. And they did the clickbait thing, and I hate the clickbait thing. But the tweet was that Salesforce, I think that's what it was the second largest consumer of Azure Active Directory logins. Let me bring that up.
Workspace.
Workday.
There you go.
Yeah, Workday. Yeah, goodness, how many guesses? So they were like, Workday is the number 2 third-party app that uses Azure AD, and then I don't even remember if they put "you won't believe what's number 1," but it was clickbaity. It was just horrible. But it was a little surprising by a big margin. The number 1 SaaS application that uses Azure AD third-party is Google Apps. So that means there's a bunch of people who have a Google Apps subscription. They pay Google money for Google Sheets and Google Docs and Google Disappointment or whatever else is that they use. But they log on to it with Azure AD. They've federated the two, so they log in with their on-prem accounts through Azure AD to get into Google. And that's just crazy. That's just good stuff. And then number 3 was ServiceNow. Salesforce is in there. Workplace by Facebook is in there. Box. Some good stuff in there, but all the big dogs.
You could start a website, saved you a click.
If only someone was doing that. I love saved you a click. Oh, I'd kiss that guy right on the mouth.
Yeah, but I mean, I can't imagine. I just don't understand. I mean, is the Google connection stuff like, is that an April Fool's joke? I mean, it's just not a functional platform for adults. I stand by it. So
it's not good stuff. It's not. I don't know if you're using Google Apps. I'm curious how that works for you. I've used it a couple times. I know some like professionals that have used it. It's just not good.
I mean, we've rallied against that thing enough times. I won't do it right now, but I'm spun up. I'm ready to. If you just put a quarter in
heart's
time.
pumping, the adrenaline's going, yeah. And so that's one thing to think about as you're looking at your hybrid picture. If you're listening to this, you've got SharePoint on-prem, looking at SharePoint online. After you go through that work of getting everything synced up, start looking at your third-party apps and see which ones can use Azure AD. There's no good reason not to bolt them in and just save yourself some work. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's on our slide, right? When we talk about here's all the reasons you should connect. I mean, the federations, let them do the work. I don't understand. We've talked to people before. They're like, well, we want to do all the federation ourselves. So it's more, no, Azure's done it. You hook yourself into there and let them do GoToMeeting and Workday and ServiceNow and blah-de-da-de-da-de-da-de, right? Whatever it might be. It's so easy.
Yeah, for onboarding, offboarding, all that kind of stuff, having the fewer authentication stores you have, the easier it is. So I'm a big fan of that. So so I like that blog post. That was a good one. So you added the next one. What's that? Managing online files with PowerShell?
Yeah, managing SharePoint online files with PowerShell. It's just my latest article on Petri.com. Apparently, we're contractually obligated to mention them a couple of times. I kind of feel dirty with how much we bring them up. But I wrote an article just kind of get people started out there. The fun thing there, so it's like moving files and modifying, create dates and owners and that type of stuff, and it's setting the stage. The next pass of it, I'm going to get into actually taking the metadata when you move files around, but that requires Camel, and I just wasn't ready to write about Camel that particular day, so I held up.
Remember when Camel was going away? Those were going to be the days. So this particular one, we were talking to this customer last week about migrating to the cloud, moving to the cloud. And they asked, so they had some really smart people there. They had like their PowerShell expert there, and I mean they had it was great. Depending on what the topic were, there was somebody in that classroom that was all excited about it. And so kind of they were talking about different migration strategies. They're like, okay, what products do you use? And we're like, well, Shane and I right now, we're in the ShareGate camp. We really like their product. There's a lot of things to like about it. We kind of talked about that a bunch. But we're like, honestly, though, that guy over there who writes your PowerShell can probably write you the exact thing. When you buy these migration tools like ShareGate and MetaLogix and all that, at this stage of the game, you're mostly buying convenience. It's not functionality anymore. And so Mark in the chat room has a question. Shane, he's asking, are you able to move and preserve versions?
I have not done anything with versions. I've not seen any commandlets that cover versions. Mark, I'm going to have to say I owe you one on that one. My gut tells me that yes, somehow, some way you could, but my gut also tells me that there's not going to be a 30-second Shane video on here's the commandlet that does it for you.
Yeah, and I've never tried either, so I'm kind of just thinking out loud here, but I wonder if on the on-prem one, if you could grab the file, grab all the versions, grab the oldest version, upload it, make sure versioning's turned on in that doc live online, grab the older version of the on-prem file, upload it, grab the next oldest version, upload it, and if it would see what I'm doing, kind of zipping and unzipping, I wonder if that would work.
Yeah, it'd be ugly. So my only concern there would be kind of like the same way that when you use PowerShell, it doesn't put things in a recycle bin. I wonder if when you use PowerShell, does it create versions?
I don't know.
That'd be an easy one to test, though. That'd be a quick test.
Yeah.
So Mark, these are great questions. Answers don't have.
Yeah, but it gives Shane ideas for blog posts and YouTube videos and things like that.
So speaking of patterns and practices and the SharePoint Online group, they released maybe 2 weeks ago now, but some guidance for developing well-performing SharePoint Online portals. So they kind of go through, taxonomy stuff and, things to think about, ways to design your solutions, that type of stuff in an online model. And they said that most of it's probably applicable to on-prem, but they didn't try and capture all those nuggets. They just said the online stuff should mostly apply. And To be honest, I have not read it with the vigor that I would like to read it, just to understand what those guys are saying. So I'm like, I know better than that. I'm smarter than you. But it's pretty good. I'm excited to see it's out there. And if Vesta posted it, it's got to be nothing but gold. So.
Yeah, probably something that I can't understand because Vesta's way smarter than me and Finnish. Yeah, good stuff. And Shane and I, you guys probably get sick of hearing about it. We are big fans of the patterns and practices stuff, even as non-developers, especially as non-developers. Their PowerShell commandlets are the bee's knees. I mean, they're just the greatest. And so for admins trying to figure out SharePoint Online, PowerShell, that's just the place to go. But there's just other great things in there, stuff like this. So I'm glad Microsoft puts as much into it as they do.
Yeah, and they seem to be buying into it. Oh, I'm sorry. Hot off the presses. Need to interrupt the show. There's a little editor came in my ear.
I was so hoping you would have never seen that. I saw this a week ago and couldn't bring myself to mention it.
All the nice things that I do for you, and you couldn't tell me. So apparently it has been released the top 50 PowerShell blogs and websites for developers. It is the most important list. I mean, this is right there. So, this is one of those things. I think Congress approved it. They vetted it.
No, they would outlaw it if they knew it existed.
And would you believe that a guy named Shane Young is out there from Cincinnati, Ohio?
All I can say is in the chat room, we have Jeff Hicks, who has forgotten today more about PowerShell than you and I will have ever known. He is on that list, rated much more highly than you, I might add, and even he thinks it's bunk.
Well, I mean, Jeff's a little suspect. I mean, let's just be honest, right? His opinions never really mattered much to me.
I have to defend your honor, Jeff. Shane, if I had white gloves, I'd be slapping you in the face right now.
Yeah, well, and speaking of gloves, in the training class last week, they left some gloves on the table. I think they were hoping we were going to duel. I don't know.
It was discussed. It was.
And then the one day she brought in all that Jell-O, and then that's when I realized, this might not be going.
And what was that kiddie pool in the back of the room for? They could never really offer a good explanation for that. I don't know. Yeah.
No, when you told them you didn't like Jell-O, you would only do pudding. I think that really threw a wrench in their plan.
Had to wheel that 55-gallon drum out of the room. Oh, no, never mind.
Yeah. So, anyway, you all should take that list to heart. I mean, it's another one of those things you should get tattooed. Places where Shane is listed and Todd is not.
Yeah,
and so is also one of them.
To make this even worse, so this thing is posted, or at least the link that I got is the same one that Dave Aykroyd has. It's from FeedSpot. And at some point to see the list or something, I had to sign up for FeedSpot or something. And now I get emails from them every day. So it's not bad enough I had to go to this list that had Shane's name on it. Now I'm getting spammed every day to remind me of my shame. Good Lord.
I'll see that once again, proves I'm smarter than you. I did not have to sign up for anything to see my name in all of its glory.
Somehow I got to subscribe to something. I don't know. But again, they're bringing up that you were rated higher than the Hey Scripting Guy blog. This has got to be like one of those Babylon Bee sites. This has got to be satirical. There's no way this is real.
No, see, I would just offer that last time I tweeted about PowerShell that Mr. Ed Wilson himself retweeted me. So maybe you just don't understand the prominence that I've risen to into the community.
I absolutely do not. This is a true story. I do not recognize it. I do not know.
Yeah,
no.
So folks, this is how you know that this is a really unlegitimate website.
Yep.
As much as it pains me to say, this website is terrible.
Hurts my heart. All right. So that's the bulk. What, you want to hit the next one?
Did we do? So we did E. You want to do F?
E? Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, and F and G kind of go together, but
Yep.
So Todd and I have really expanded a lot of your guys' horizons over the last few months around things like your microwave being the Russians spying on you, and your dishwasher being the Chinese spying on you, and your smart TV being the NSA spying on you. Right? We've kind of helped you guys get educated on that.
Yeah.
So it used to be pretty complicated, but now I'm wondering why those guys spent so much effort. I was out there reading the Daily Mail. I don't know why I read UK's Daily Mail, but I do. And they pointed out an article that apparently someone using a flight tracker app cost a whole $2.99 in euros, so that's like $5,000 or something, but they were using the flight tracker app to actually follow one of the UK spy planes as it was spying on a Russian naval base. I mean, I read the article, kept thinking there's going to be a punchline, there was going to be like a misunderstanding. No, it turns out that, because of the crowded airspace they have over there, it's against international law for planes to fly with their transponders off unless it's an act of war or time of war or something war.
Something war, Star Wars.
Yeah, well, that's May the 4th. That's a couple days from now. But yeah, so this, top secret spy plane takes off, its transponder lit up, and some guy started tweeting it, and then they started tweeting there's a couple F-35s flying around with it, and they, some other plane. I mean, it was a whole, operation thing going on. They're just live tweeting it because some 299 app made it all open for everyone.
That's crazy.
It was really mind-blowing. Because if you think about how much effort they used to go through to track spy stuff.
Yeah.
Now you top on the internet and some guy's live blogging it.
Yeah, and any turkey with a phone and $3 worth of disposable income can do it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, because we also today we had the SpaceX launch, right? Congratulations, those guys landing another plane on the platform. Or no, they landed on dry land this time, I think.
Yeah, as what I saw somebody on Twitter refer to it as the most expensive game of lawn darts ever.
Yeah, right. But they nailed another launch. I'm a big fan of the SpaceX stuff, but they're like, yeah, it's launching a top secret spy satellite. And they're like, here's the trajectory that they launched it on. Normally they launch it to the east, but this one was launched up the coastline. So that means instead of a geosynchronous orbit, they're probably, it was like I was reading the national security briefing on this satellite. And they're like, yeah. And then there's a bunch of amateurs now that because of the flight path of the rocket that they were tracking, they figure within the next 2 to 3 days, they'll be able to find the satellite and confirm what orbit it's in. I'm like, why the hell would a foreign intelligence agency waste any money? They just got to hop on Twitter and there'll be the plans for the next spy satellite. Oh my God.
Yeah. So on the same note, we've talked about how our microwaves are spying on us. My microwave broke over the weekend, and so now I can only assume there's a gap in somebody's intel gathering now because my microwave kind of freaked out, and I was trying to fix it, which, much to my surprise, only made things worse. And so I had to unplug it, and yeah, so I guess I got to go out and
I'm surprised the Russian repairman didn't show up and be like, You I won't do it, but right. I mean, that would have just been the icing on the cake. If you didn't call, Maytag to get it fixed, and a Russian repairman showed up, you just been like, why do I bother?
Yep, my microwave can no longer spy on me. It's not plugged in. But don't worry, folks. Don't worry. I'll get a new microwave. We'll get her fixed. We'll get back up online here.
But that used to be the thing, right? So we all figured out a long time ago you could pop the battery out of your cell phone if you didn't want to be tracked. I'm assuming they've overcome that hurdle. Now, like the iPhone, you can't pop the battery out.
That's how they've overcome that hurdle.
But I'm assuming even the phones you can, right? There's a little extra nuclear reactor in there or something that powers just the spying portion so that if you try and go rogue, right? I don't know. My tinfoil hat is not thick enough anymore. It's getting bad.
Yeah, and so now, if I buy another microwave, again, we've talked about this, I'm going to get one that's got a good resolution so the people spying on me can get a good, clear picture and all that. Yep, Dave in the chat room's talking about how the microwaves now come with the NSA approved tag on them, so you can tell, you want to get the good ones. You want to, yeah. Like
you said, if you're going to have pictures of stuff, I want high res. I want to look good.
Yep. So when I lose a hard drive on my servers at home, I can go to these guys and get some pictures of my family.
Yeah. Well, so speaking of looking good, I'll let you have H. I feel like that's
Yeah, H is kind of a sore spot for me, and I wasn't sure if I was ready to talk about this or not. But
I put you on the spot. You got to now.
Now, yeah. So there's been some stuff going on. We've talked about how in February I got laid off, and I've been talking to a lot of different companies and putting myself out there. It's always it's humbling and terrifying. And I had a run on a good job, and I thought it was going to happen. And then I find out today, not through normal channels, but I find out that somebody else got the job that I've been thinking I was going to get. And again, you hate to find out that way, right? You hate to see that somebody else got the job you were looking to get.
Sorry.
But turns out, yeah. And so they announced this morning that Ryan Seacrest will be filling in with Kelly Rippon now as the permanent co-host of her show. I thought I had it. I mean, I thought it was in the bag. I was just waiting for the people to get back to me, and No, it turns out it was Ryan Seacrest all along.
I think it's just because Kelly and Todd just didn't have the same ring that Kelly and Ryan did. I think that's what got you. It was an enunciation, symphony there.
I'd have changed my name. That's easy enough. I mean, all she'd had to do was ask. Yeah.
Sorry for your loss.
Yeah, and that's just a rough way to find out. You expect something better, but good luck to Ryan or whatever, I guess. I don't know. It was a tough one. Tough day. Yep. And then to make it even worse, we've got I on there. We were talking about that today. Microsoft's been pushing out the Creators Update for Windows 10. And as is always the case, you get a couple of good things, and then there's some turds in that punch bowl. And so what are you and I were talking about? What are some of your what grinds your gears about the Creators Update?
So I wouldn't even say it grinds my gears, but I understood the pain. So if you look back to the November update, and then again with this Creators Update, what they keep doing is they keep cutting enterprise, management style features out of Windows 10 Professional, right? They really want to get everybody on Windows 10 Enterprise. It's like $7 a month or something, right? They're trying to get everybody on MRR model. Who knew?
Yeah.
But yeah, so this article was, talking about, kind of the different things they'd cut in this version. And it was a couple of like group policy management features. I mean, honestly, as a guy who's not an IT admin trying to manage a bunch of desktops, I was like, who cares? But then I went and read the comments because the comments on internet articles are usually the best place to go.
Comic gold.
And I mean, these people, you would have thought that they'd taken away their firstborn child. Like, you can't take away that one checkbox for managing the Windows Store in my AD if I have Windows Professional. And then they're getting all like crazy, right? They're like, that's it, I'm going to Linux. So wait.
2017, the year of the Linux desktop.
It's taken over, right? But I mean, so wait. So you use group policy so much, them taking away one checkbox of the 10,000 that are there, you're going to leave it for a platform that has exactly zero group policy? Didn't really feel like the knobs were clicking for that dude.
But in their defense, Linux doesn't have access to the Windows Store. So they are getting the thing that they want by moving to Linux. You need to look at the big picture, Shane.
Got it. So, they're going, I mean, I don't know enough anymore. I mean, does Linux, they just kind of do like login scripts to manage everything, kind of like we did back in 1995?
I have no idea. My Linux exposure is very, very weak. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and it's funny. So Microsoft has always, as they've had different versions of, even back to the NT4 and 351 days where you could go in and tweak that one registry setting and turn Windows NT Workstation into Windows NT Server. Yep. Things like that. They've always struggled with how to, they want to build one code base because they don't want to build two different products and support two different products. But then how to carve it up so the different features go into different SKUs and all that. They've always struggled with that, and figuring out where that's at, always been a struggle.
Yeah, well, and that stroll down memory lane, all I really heard was, I remember the days that my laptop ran NT40 server as my laptop OS because that's what I needed to make everything work.
Yeah, and you could, that one, landman server key or whatever, you could flip it, and yeah. So I don't know, and I will tell you, I've got a couple of machines. I'm running Windows 10 everywhere. I've got a couple of machines that I have not put on my domain. I've not upgraded from home to Pro, or I guess they may or may not be running Pro, but I haven't joined them to my domain at home because I don't think you can use the Windows Hello stuff with a domain joined machine. Like for instance, I don't think I can log into a domain joined machine with a PIN. And so they're like, well, that's a domain GPO and all that, rock on, but I don't know that I can tweak that at the domain level and allow that. And so I've got a couple of machines I log in that way, and I just haven't domain joined them yet.
It's always a balance for those of us that run server farms in our own home, right? Making it so our kids and our dogs can log in as seamlessly as possible.
Yep. And Dave Ackroyd brings up a thing in the chat room about how right now we can join Windows 10 boxes to Azure AD domains, which is cool. Couple of tricky things about that. So in the chat room, he's saying that's going to be the way of the future. He's absolutely right. That's where that's going. Two sticking points that I know of. Number one is you can't join your Windows 10 box to an AAD domain. You either can't do it with PowerShell or you can't do it from the GUI, but you can't do both. something like that. There's one or the other that doesn't work. And second, there's some crazy remote desktop issues, like you have to turn NLA off or something to log in to an Azure AD joint box. And in the chat room, they're also telling me that I'm completely full of BS, that you can pin log into a domain join machine. So I'll give it a shot.
I just want to try and see if I can set up Chewy to use hello. Right? Do dogs' eyes work the same way people's eyes work? That's all I want to know.
I don't know. They can see in the dark. I know that's they do that. So with the Windows 20 or the Windows 10, it's curious how that works. I'm glad I don't need all that.
Now, did you want to tell them what disturbed you the most about Creator Studio coming out today?
Was it that the application thing that we noticed?
Yes.
So apparently they're changing how Skype works. It's going to be the modern Skype and not the desktop app Skype. Mine switched back, so I went and clicked the desktop app and it switched back after you and I talked.
Well, yeah. So I think the downside is that with Windows 10 Creator, right? Skype, the Skype app, which none of us use because it's terrible, is finally went from preview to GA. So look forward to that being even harder to remove and the desktop not working sooner than later. Yeah, there you go. Lori's crying. She's like, no. Yeah,
and so just so that all of you that are watching and listening to this podcast, this will hurt you whether you use Skype or not, because the way we're shooting this right now is with that exact desktop app. So Shane is Skyped in over here. XSplit recognizes it, does the thing. I don't know how that's going to work with this new one. So we'll see.
One day we're going to get some sponsors. We're going to get something better than Skype and XSplit, and life will be grand. And if you want to sponsor the show, we're looking for...
Todd at toddclint.com. Shoot me an email. We'll see what we can do.
Or checks to Shane at Shane's Cows.
There you go. All right. So speaking of sending checks and all that, shameless self-promotion. So what do we got going on in a couple of weeks, Shane?
Well, May 22nd, if you listened to us describe teaching on-site and thought that was the greatest thing ever,
I would love some of that.
Imagine 5 days of not having to go on-site, right? So you can keep wearing your good sweatpants and doing that same experience but online with Todd and myself teaching. Who wouldn't want to take that class?
Good times, good times. And if you'd like, in solidarity, I will wear my pajamas as well. So
these aren't my pajamas. These are my good sweatpants.
I mean, with the students. If the students want to take the class in their pajamas, I will wear my pajamas as well.
I thought you were insulting the good sweatpants.
No, I would never insult the good sweatpants. Certainly not.
But yeah, so that is May 22nd. So it's 5 days of online training. It's 2 hour and 15-minute-ish sessions each day. And I say ish because we tend to ramble. The other fun thing we want to do, though, so if you are thinking, well, I don't need that training. I already know everything the guys have to say. It's probably true. You probably know more than us. But if you would like to recommend someone or refer them to the class, Todd will personally send you a $50 Amazon gift card if you refer anyone to the class. So just tell them just to sign up the normal way, and when they sign up, just the first step after you sign up, you have to send an email to me saying, hey, here's answer some questions. Tell them to include your name in there, and Todd will take out of his cut and give you a $50 Amazon gift card. So pretty awesome.
I don't remember that being how that was explained to me. I don't remember agreeing to those terms.
See, that's why I just said, hey, Todd, how do you feel about 4AII? And you said, oh, it's fine. You should have asked for the fine print.
I trust you. It's all good. It's all good. And then look what it gets me.
Yep. So if you guys will help us spread the word, tweet the class, get referrals. Heck, if your boss is willing to sign up, you just put your own name as referring yourself and get that $50
no questions
gift card.
asked. We don't care. We don't care.
we've done shadier things, giving kickbacks. So don't you worry.
Yeah, it's not. We're not above that.
Yeah, the microwave can tell you all about my illegal kickbacks if you want to know.
Exactly. So that's May 22nd. Go to boldzebras.com, sign up there. We've got a couple of people signed up already. We'd love to get you in there and see what all the fun is. And then June 19th, yours truly will be at the Office 365 Engage conference in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. And I think if you go to office365engage.com, I think that's the URL for that. You can sign up for that. You can put my name in as a referral code if you register. But that's going to be a great European conference. If you've never been to Amsterdam, it's technically in Haarlem, but it's Amsterdam. Great conference. So I submitted my sessions, and then they came back and said, we've taken some of your sessions, and kind of showed me all the other sessions that were going to be going on, so we could make sure that we have everything lined up right, so I could refer people to mine. I was a little intimidated by some of the other people talking there and putting sessions on. I am definitely the runt of that litter. There's some really impressive talks going on. So if you're in Europe, think about doing that June 19th, the Office 365 Engage event. If you're not in Europe but would like to go to Europe, this is a great way to talk to your boss or whoever into sending you to Europe and doing that. So
were any of those speakers that intimidated you, were they on the 50 best list of PowerShell? And the other thing, I get bored when he talks, I come up with jokes.
Is that what that was? I didn't recognize that. Yeah.
The other one I was going to ask was, are you going to have a Royale with cheese while you're over there?
I have looked around. I've not. I've eaten at McDonald's plenty of times in Europe, and I don't remember if they're called Royale with cheese there. That might have been, that was what, 96 when that movie came out. I don't know if they still call them that or not. But I don't know. I'll do some research though. I'll find out for you. I have. So just so you know, there are many times when I've eaten at McDonald's in foreign lands and sent Shane a picture. My favorite was the one in Rome. So I'm spending a day in Rome doing all the things you can do in Rome. And I found a McDonald's and I'm like, oh yeah, me and the clown.
Yeah. So see, the key thing here is Todd's on vacation with his wife, and what's he doing? He's thinking about me.
Yep. There was a time I sent you the picture of me with the ice cream cone on the cruise ship. And,
yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There was a time you sent me a picture of you in a tank top. Sorry, my bad.
Bad. Some of those, yeah.
And so, as always, Dave Aykroyd he should be like so Lori's the executive producer. I feel like Dave Aykroyd needs some type of title because he likes to correct me. And so he would like us to know that the Hello is not going to work with Chewy because the Hello feature uses both your eyes and your face, whereas with the 950 and 950 XL, they only did the irises. So my phone would have worked for the dog, but apparently, because Chewy's got a hairy face, it's probably not going to work with him too well.
Yeah. So then I think Hello would work great with me because I do not have a hairy face.
I mean, you shaved that one time when you were 16, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, Shane and I were on site last week with customers. I shaved the day I left. And I didn't even pack a razor or shaving cream or anything. I'm like, I'm only going to be gone 3 or 4 days. I don't need to shave.
I had to shave 3 times while we were there. It's not. Yep. This is not fair.
Uh-huh. So anyway, folks,
but I'm jealous.
We've gone way over this week, so I apologize for that. It's all Shane's fault. We'll be around next week, and if you got any ideas for stuff you'd like to have us cover, hit us up. Todd@toddclint.com. Shane at whatever his email address is. We're on Twitter. But yeah, let us know. Happy to talk about whatever. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.